Hello, you beautiful people. This episode is brought to you by Deep Creek Glassworks. Since 2013, Deep Creek Glassworks has been handcrafting durable glass goods for everyone to enjoy. Looking for something awesome for yourself, or maybe for a loved one? Ornaments, jewelry, glassware, and much more, Deep Creek Glassworks has you covered. Feel free to contact them for something custom that you don't see on their website. Visit deepcreekglassworks.com, that's WORX, today to check out their selection. And just for our listeners, use the promo code SUPERFUN for 10% off your first order. All items are shipped in crust-resistant boxes and provide free shipping for orders over $50. Again, that's deepcreekglassworks.com, works spelled WORX. Love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Welcome back for another episode of Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go. Find us on Facebook.com/SuperFunPodcast, Twitter.com/SuperFunPodcast, Patreon.com/SuperFunPodcast, Instagram at SuperFunPodcastGo, iTunes at Superfun Game Review Podcast Go. Thanks and enjoy the show.
Welcome back for another episode of Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go! I'm your host tonight, Ralph. Screw it! Why should I tell that story when you're about to die? Nah! To my left, I have Harry.
I am determined to get through this episode.
To my right, I have Steve.
That's the trash can. Feel free to visit it anytime.
Above me, I have Joe.
Why did the skeleton want a friend? Because she was bonely.
And just off center is Clark.
You want some love, don't you?
Oh God, way to make it weird. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
oh no, I'm glad I didn't say below me is Clark. Good. Well, in case you can't tell, tonight's game is Undertale.
Undertale.
One of the, I don't know if it's best, but one of the most important indie titles of the last 10 years, in my humble opinion.
You're very humble
And
about
dramatic silence, okay? Let's move right into initial impressions. Steve, give me your impression.
I had only seen the title like floating around online here and there. I never actually looked into it, so pretty much this was all brand new. As soon as I booted it up and saw kind of like the old school graphics, I got immediately excited to play this game. So as we kept going through and kind of having it going, I mean, I feel I was justified in that one. So yeah, I was excited.
Cool, okay. Harry?
Well, I'm actually a pretty big fan of indie titles. I mean, in the past couple of years, we've experimented with quite a few, and I always find something really unique that's you can't get in like the mainstream market with gaming. So seeing that Undertale was on the list, I was kind of excited to get into this, but I'll save some of my thoughts for later in the episode.
He was excited and then disappointed. Okay. Clark, what do you got?
If you're on the internet like regularly, you see a lot about Undertale, and a lot of people really hype this game up. So I was very cautious about it because hyped up indie titles, they are either really good or they're kind of like a bunch of bullshit. And I kind of fall in the middle on this. I think it's a little overhyped, and I think it's a little bullshitty. And yeah, I'll get into that a little more.
Yeah, totally. Joe, how about your initial impression?
So, funnily enough, when you recommended this game, I checked it out on Steam and actually found that it was on my ignored list.
Ignore.
Yes. So when games, I tend to go through Steam where like it'll do like game recommendations and you can like put it on your wish list or ignore it or just skip it. Ignored games like never show up for you again.
I didn't know that was even an option in Steam. I've never ignored a game. Interesting.
Yeah. So apparently it was on my ignored list. I don't know when I did that, but I did. And I hadn't really looked at it since. And then I started listening to a lot more video game like soundtracks and stuff like that. And I was listening to like Terraria and the Celeste soundtrack. And then Spotify automatically started throwing the Undertale soundtrack in. And once I realized that it was Undertale, I got way more excited for this game.
Cool. All right. Well, mine I'd say was be somewhere around Clark and Steve's, where I knew about Undertale. I knew it was an indie title, and I heard a lot of good things, but I didn't really know any details. And the only point of reference I had for knowing that the music would either be interesting or good was that Smooth McGroove started to do all these covers of Undertale songs, and it kind of surprised me that he would do that because he kind of does, he does video game music. If you guys don't know, he does, a cappella renditions of classic video game music, and he's stretched a little bit into stuff that's not that well known. Like he did a lot of Nintendo stuff, but he started to do an Undertale, and I didn't listen to those. I just kind of like skipped over it because I prefer to have a point of reference for his stuff. I was just like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna listen to this or whatever. But he just kept doing them, and I was like, okay, maybe Undertale actually has something of substance that would be interesting to explore. And I guess I knew the length for one run through, so I thought that I would put it up there on the list and see how we could do. Notwithstanding, it's still late, but never mind. That'll do it for initial impressions. Let's get right into development.
Game development.
There wasn't a whole lot. I mean, from what I found, Toby Fox was basically the main developer. He did outsource some character design, but very, very little.
I actually thought that he did everything, but when the credits started to roll, I was surprised to see so many different names. So yeah, I noticed that. I found that too, that he was the primary. It's basically his
Yeah.
baby.
Oh yeah. He did, most of it, but he did it over 32 months, and it was initially kickstarted. And this is the crazy part to me. I mean, you get it's like a very indie game. There's not a lot in it, but he kickstarted it with a goal of only $5,000.
Right.
And then it raised 51 grand. And like those numbers to me are like, for a game, they're small, but like having such a low target, I think probably helped him out with this.
Why do you think that?
Just because like it's easier to back something with a lower goal. Like as somebody who kickstarts things, like if somebody's like, hey, look, I just need a little bit here to get going or whatever like that, and they're like kind of upfront with you and what they're doing, it's kind of easier to get behind that person.
Oh, rather than someone saying, "Hey, I want to make this crazy big RPG. I need $1 million." It wouldn't be easy to back.
Or even
right.
even if he asked for 50 grand, I mean, he got that, but like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, like he just needs a little bit to like, get equipment or pay for software or something like that. Like $5,000 is clearly like he's probably doing it in the evening. Like I don't know, like if he has kids or whatever, but it's probably like one of those things. Like he's working on it after the kids are in bed or like on the weekends. Like it seemed like one of those types of projects.
It was like a pet project on the side, like in
Right.
addition to everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of what I got from all that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I found it interesting that I haven't played the Mario and Luigi series, but apparently they're a point of inspiration for him for the battle system. I thought it was primarily Earthbound based. Like, there's obviously a lot that we're seeing that was influenced by Earthbound. Would anyone disagree with that?
No. He even cites internet culture, the comedy stylings of Mr. Bean, and Earthbound as direct influences.
Right. I did see that he used to do ROM hacks of Earthbound, in the 2000s or something like that, early 2000s.
Yeah, and ran like a Earthbound forum and stuff like that for all that kind of stuff.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
No, that makes sense.
Do you guys see any other, and this is sort of development-ish, but did you see any other influences? Did any other games jump out at you other than Earthbound?
Some bullet hell type stuff, like Ikaguri and stuff like that, or Ikaguri. I don't know. It starts with an I. It was like a bullet hell game where you're like kind of like moving a spaceship around the screen, and you have to kind of like learn patterns and move. Yeah, and move in between it and stuff like that.
Yeah. I started to get WarioWare vibes from the attack dodging, and I don't have a lot of experience with WarioWare, but like just the really short, quick, like here's a 5-second mini game. Try to avoid these things or do this or shoot that. That's what I started to get from it.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
So Earthbound crossed with WarioWare, and then just a whole bunch of silly nonsense.
Yeah, the silly nonsense was very interesting. Like I was just really thrown off by that.
I guess we'll get to more to that in story. But did anybody catch the Final Fantasy VI blatant homage, I guess you could say? There's the one sequence where you're walking in like a black room, and then all of a sudden they're like talking about this stage play, and it's what's his name, the television personality,
Mettaton.
Mettaton. Mettaton is like at a balcony, and the music just starts, and it's like not quite the opera music from Final Fantasy VI. It's just a little different. They changed a couple notes. So, do you guys noticed or no?
I did not notice that.
Okay.
No, I did not pick up on that.
I guess it's just that in general, he took a lot of inspiration from a lot of, Super Nintendo RPGs, is the way I'd look at it.
So you're pretty fair in that.
Anything else for development?
I think that pretty much wraps it up.
All right, let's move into story.
Story.
Okay, Undertale is the story of a child who falls into the underground where monsters were banished ages ago and has to fight, or can choose not to escape. Encountering interesting characters with widely varying personalities, the child eventually reaches the end of his or her journey and must decide the fate of the monsters living in the underground. That's
Yeah,
it.
that seemed very on point.
Yeah, it's pretty on point, honestly.
Okay.
I will say, story-wise, it is very, very interesting, and you do have to kind of play. Well, like, because myself, I did 2 playthroughs, and you get more from the story just by going like different routes. So really, to
Okay,
kind of
so
get the.
which 2 did you do? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. I did a neutral run, but I pretty much killed everything for the most part, just not like the full genocide for like the regular monsters, but pretty much any of like the main characters that you can battle and destroy, I did. And then I did the pacifist route, so where I didn't kill anything, I didn't attack once. I just used all the text to get through.
To spare or show mercy. That to me, because I did one neutral run. The pacifist sounds to me to be the most difficult.
It wasn't that bad. Because there's like certain options. Now this might be crossing into gameplay a little bit, but
Oh yeah, it might be.
where you can talk to them, and each enemy kind of has like their own different dialogue for some of it. Like for one of them, there was like the giant, like the airplane. What is it? The Sunder plane or something?
Yeah. You can
Yeah,
tell it, you can flirt with it and tell it has nice,
like a nice wingspan.
Yeah.
And then it brushes up close to you, and then so they all have like different things. And then there's the one I remember is the one enemy, Jerry, the little alien looking thing, where you just ditch them. That's all you do. You just ditch Jerry. So yeah, but I got
a Parks and Rec reference.
It's just ditching Jerry.
Yeah. God damn it, Jerry.
Now this one is spelled with a J, so we do have confirmation of that. But yeah, I going through the pacifist run, you get a lot more into like the darker part of the story, because you actually go to the scientist. What's her name? Alfie's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's like a true lab, and it's like this creepy underground laboratory where she was doing all these experiments and whatnot for trying to pull the determination out of the monsters and use that instead of the human ones. And then you go to, like, as you're going through, you come across enemies, and they're just like all different types of monsters, just kind of like shoved together. So they're just like abnormal, like weird, like looking things.
So
Because they like
created all these monsters.
yeah, like, and then
That
like
was
they
across.
mutated and like formed together, and these things were like all of her previous experiments that they were unstable and like just changed shape. So there was a point like going through, not killing anything, you find out they were like killing stuff themselves. It's kind of crazy.
Now, when I found that you give mercy to a creature, it seems like you don't get experience. So
Right.
You don't.
So to do the pacifist run, are you level 1? Essentially,
You're
the
level
entire game.
level on the entire thing, and you just have to be really good at the defense when like you're being attacked. And that's
Yikes.
pretty much it. You get like no experience. I actually found I got a lot more gold going
Yeah.
through pacifist rather than neutral. But yeah, I mean, you're just level 1, and then you just try to get some good armor, basically, or like anything to up your defense, and that's pretty much the best you can do.
Well, since we're on this, if you guys don't mind, if you could just tell me your runs, because I did one neutral, Steve did neutral and pacifist. What about the rest of you?
I did neutral.
Same.
I'm gonna guess neutral because I did give mercy to a couple things and killed a majority of things.
Yeah, that's how I played it.
Okay.
If you fight Sans, that's the genocide.
Okay.
Okay.
None of us
If you
did that.
didn't fight Sans, you didn't do the genocide one.
Okay,
Got
I was
it.
just kind of curious, obviously. I started out doing like a pseudo pacifist, like if I had the option to flee or spare, or if the yellow, their name became yellow and I could spare them, I tried to, basically up until the Toriel battle where you leave. And Steve, maybe you can tell me, but I don't know how to get past without defeating her and essentially killing her.
You just have to ride it out. That's for there's certain enemies where it's literally that's the only thing you can do is just keep pressing spare, and they just keep attacking you. But eventually, if the dialogue starts to kind of like change over, like why aren't you fighting back or something else, and you just keep sparing, and you just have to survive.
It's like
I mean,
turn gated.
yeah, I mean that's for like a good amount of the boss battles. Like I know
Fit-
Undyne was that was a tough one when you were
Yeah.
fighting her because she took a while to quit. Between her and Muffet, the
Yeah,
spider
Muffet
battle.
was a struggle for me trying to get through that battle because you have to. And I actually was worried that I was a bit underleveled because I didn't realize at first that neutral meant that you kill things but you also spare things. I wasn't entirely sure. I didn't look that up at that point. So I actually thought I came through kind of underleveled, and at one point I had to grind before the not before the king. Who was it? No, it was the king. Before the king, I actually ended up having to grind a bit. Nope, wait, I lied. It was the last form of Mediton,
Oh,
where they
okay.
become human.
Yeah.
I ended
God,
up
that was
grinding out like 5 levels just because I couldn't get past it.
Jesus.
That was a tough fight. I had to do it like 3 or 4 times myself.
I was gonna save this for gameplay, but I guess I can ask now. Do you guys remember what your level was at the end of the game?
Yeah, like 10.
10. Okay,
I was 13.
uh,
I was 12.
Yeah, I feel like I was like 12. I forget exactly.
yeah, I feel like I was
Okay.
around like 14 or 15 or so. Something
Okay.
up there. But cuz like for the neutral, like you don't have to like for neutral, you can still like kill pretty much everything. Cuz I was looking out for the genocide and it actually starts having a counter once you start getting closer of like you feel it says you're determined, which means there's still stuff left to kill and you just have to keep wiping out the area, but you didn't actually have to spare anybody. But that was nice of you that you did.
Wait, so genocide, you actually have to like seek out. Like, does that include random encounters?
Yep, there's a certain amount of.
Holy shit.
I guess that
Jeez.
makes them a little less random, but I mean, there's a certain set amount in each stage for random encounters, and you just kind of have to keep walking around until you destroy everything.
So what you're saying is there's a limited amount of fights in the game. You can hit
Yes,
a maximum amount of fights and you won't encounter anything.
right. And then I think it's as you're like at the save points is when I think it tells you because it's like you did something you're filled with determination and that's
Mhm.
where it would change there to tell you like how many are left in like whatever stage that you're in.
Huh.
Interesting.
I was contemplating doing another run through with that, but with ending on the pacifist and just having everybody in a nice happy world, then I just wanted to let them live in peace.
Yeah, so, okay, so while we're in story, I want to bring that up too. When you fight the king, right? I feel like before the flower takes over or whatever,
Flowey.
I feel like that was almost a better ending. Like when you have like playing a neutral, like you have the option on like Asgore whether you want to like fight it's like fight them or
Mercy.
Mercy.
Mercy, like
Yeah.
at the very end of the
Right,
fight.
right.
Yeah.
And I thought like that was like a more compelling ending because like Flowey takes over and then like you fight Flowey for like what felt like ever. And I want to get back to that in gameplay because there's some interesting moments there.
Okay.
But when you fight Flowey and it just like ends, like it's just over. Like there's nothing else with the story there that happens.
Neutral's not a good ending. It's not like gratifying in any way.
No.
And I think it's like if you leave certain people alive, that determines who's actually like in charge at the very end. Like for my neutral run, I had Metaton was running the show basically.
Oh, I had Udine because I didn't defeat her.
Oh,
Or I think it's a her.
yeah.
I had Papyrus as my leader.
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
I had Metaton.
Yeah, same. I had Metaton as well.
Now, did either of you show mercy to Asgore at the end, or did you destroy him?
Nobody. I showed mercy to nobody.
Oh, there you go.
I showed
I just
mercy to
didn't
him.
do the. I just didn't do the random encounters enough to get the genocide run.
Gotcha.
So I chose Mercy, but the outcome is not what I was expecting when I chose Mercy. Like I thought, regardless of like I thought assumed like okay, if I choose Mercy, like somehow I'm gonna get like the soul I need because I'm strong enough to go through the barrier.
Mm-hmm.
And like you don't. Like he's just like okay, well you're down here with us now.
Well,
And I was like, well fuck.
Oh,
if you
I
show
was like,
mercy
if I
to,
would have known that, I would have picked the other option, motherfucker.
if you show mercy to Asgore, doesn't Flowey kill him?
Yeah. But you don't get the monster soul then to go through the barrier right then.
Well,
Which
true.
is
oh.
Okay. Harry, what's your input?
On story, a couple things I want to hit on real quick. I liked the whole Metaton section of the game as far as
Really?
like his like comedy bits, like the kitchen show. The quiz show made me actually laugh out loud when some of the answers are like, "How many flies are in this box?" And you see all the fucking numbers just changing.
like how many letters are in Metaton and it just keeps adding ends.
Yeah, I thought that whole section was funny because I knew like no matter what I answered, I was going to get this shit wrong. But the whole scientist with the constant tweet updates drove me fucking nuts.
Same
I
here.
was
Yeah,
like-
it was seriously the most fucking annoying shit ever.
Yeah, that was
I have a
so
funny note
annoying.
about that.
That was terrible.
Harry,
Before we leave Alphys's social media, I wrote down that Alphys on social media commenting on your gameplay is like fucking boomers on Facebook. Because like when Alphys is like, should I call them? I don't know if I want to call them. Blah blah blah. And I'm like,
I've had
like,
my claw over the
people on
number for the
Facebook,
last
like-
5 minutes.
yeah. Like they're just like, it's ridiculous to be like,
Hey, speaking of boomers
they
on
talk-
Facebook,
Oh God.
you know what I hate? All those fucking posts are like, "Are you brave enough to share this post?" Like,
exactly.
oh, God, get the fuck out of here with that shit. Somebody needs to like ban them from Facebook.
Sounds
Sure,
like someone's not very brave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Call
That sounds-
Zuckerberg.
Sounds like coward talk there, Harry.
Oh God, I'm not gonna call out certain people.
Yeah,
But,
don't.
Yeah, that's a good move.
But Jesus Christ.
Oh, we all have a few of those on the feed going through. You're like, oh my God, really?
Yeah.
No, I blocked all those people.
Oh, there you go.
Every week, I think I block somebody new on Facebook. It's just gonna be like just a list of like 3 people that I actually follow.
You guys.
No, I blocked half of you guys already.
Shit.
Nice.
Cool. Good.
Did I make the cut?
Well, I don't know. See the next emergency you post on Facebook and whether or not I respond.
Oh man.
Well, wait. Are you talking about me?
Oh my God. What?
No?
What?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's not always all about you, Ralph.
No, I don't
Jesus.
mean that. I don't mean
Hey guys, let's get into some Facebook drama on our podcast.
Yeah, let's do it. All right.
Hey, there's some good content
Office.
here.
A hard cut. So I have to disagree with you, Harry. The Metaton nonsense and the hot area, I for some reason I just started checking out. It was probably the
Because you were
Alphys.
down to the wire and
Facebook.
finishing the game.
No. You can make that.
Couldn't
That's fine. You can make that joke. But I kind of like checked out and I was like, oh my God, just get me out of here. Like I actually really liked everything leading up to that area. I liked the waterfall section. I liked the way the game flowed. I liked how there were like many stupid, and there are many stupid little puzzles throughout, but just I liked that there was a town, and I liked that there were I guess more NPCs or whatnot. But once we started to get into elevators and switches and all that other stuff, I'm like, this is just okay, great. Like the core didn't interest me, and Metaton was okay, but I didn't laugh out loud through that.
I thought some of the
that concept.
questions were funny for Metaton, but like overall, I kind of thought the writing on this game was like childish and not very compelling in any sort of way. Like I just didn't connect with the game at all. I didn't really think it was that great, to be completely honest. Like the story or anything like that. Like it's like not an original twist, and it's not an original concept. So like the only thing different, I was like looking for differences, like things that set this apart from other stuff. And like it's some of it's in there in like gameplay and music, but like in story, I just thought this was like vapid and just saying the same shit over and over and over again.
Okay.
I could see that to an extent, like just based off just the neutral run, but at least like having the one other one and it starts to expand it. That's where the story started kicking in a little more, because then it got into more of the backstory behind like the first child that fell and then died and what happened with them, and then between that and God, what was the other son's name? Azriel.
Yeah.
Well, like when it got into some of those type of things, then it was like, oh, okay. I mean, as for the writing, it was silly, but I liked it. There was a couple moments I didn't write it down specifically where I sat and like I laughed out loud at my screen. I actually LOL'd and enjoyed some of it. I mean, it is kind of childish, but there's like a little bit of twist. And I mean, come on, Sans. He's a walking pun. I love it. That's like right up my alley.
Did you guys buy hot dogs from Sans?
Do what?
Did you buy hot dogs from him?
Yes.
I did.
Did you buy more than one?
Yes.
I bought 2, but not enough to stack them on my head. If that's what you're talking, is that where you're going?
I bought like
No.
6.
Oh,
Yeah, I bought a bunch from him too, but I thought it was hilarious because like when you buy one, he gives you a hot dog, and then the second one, he gives you a hot cat.
yep.
Oh my god, really?
And when you use it, it meows.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
if you use
kind
it-
of what that's kind of what I did for boss fights near the end of the game. I'd fill up my entire inventory with health items. So whoever was the health
Same
item
here.
vendor in the area, that's how I came across some of those jokes, because I needed to just fill up.
I got it.
Oh. Yeah, I just I mean, this crossing a gameplay bit, that dog residue really helped out, but
No,
when
it
it was when
Nah,
the dogs. What?
No, it didn't.
No?
You use the dog residue?
Yeah.
How?
By clicking on use, and then it fills your
fills your
inventory
inventory?
with more dog residue or dog salad.
And then what
And
do you
then
do with that?
The dog salad is a healing item.
Oh, okay. I didn't
And
know that.
so then you can just discard a bunch of the residue and then use it again. It fills up, and then it's kind of random when the salads pop in, but you can just fill it up that way without spending gold.
Wait, what?
Probably good to know.
Yeah, I missed all of that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go back to it in gameplay. Then I'll write it down to explain dog residue and dog salad.
Residue.
So,
Okay, written down.
Story point that I did like was there's a sign that says like this ultimate like godlike item up here, and then you go to pick it up or something, and it's like, oh, you have too much dog in your
Oh,
inventory.
yeah. The
I'm
ancient
like,
the
what
artifact
the
or whatever.
fuck? I don't have a dog in my inventory, and boom, you go into your inventory, and there it is.
Oh,
You
annoying
use
dog.
it, and then it just takes the item, and then I never see anything else ever again in the game. It's just
Yes, that's true.
Um,
Accurate. Funny moment.
another interesting story moment that I found was right before the throne room at the end. Did you guys go exploring and find your own coffin
Yeah,
Yep, found that.
I did
with the
find that.
other 6 human coffins?
yeah, I know, right? You go down, and you're like, oh, that doesn't look good.
The
Yeah, that's
other
fucking morbid.
color parts.
I mean, a point to that though, like, so this game in a way guilt trips you for killing monsters, but yet they're collecting souls of children. I just
Yeah.
wanted to point that out.
Okay, Harry.
No, like I yeah, exactly. Like they make you feel bad about like it's part of my problem with the whole like, oh, there's more story in the pacifist run. Then they should have like guided you more towards a pacifist run than just like the neutral run. Like I don't know, like I don't think to get more story you should have to play through a game 3 or 4 times, like the same game, and just play it a different way. I don't know, like
That's valid.
it's just
You can
it-
have that feeling. At
Yeah,
the same time,
it's-
it's only 5 hours, right? So it's I guess it's a economical way to get more gameplay out of the game in terms of the development.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really feel like they push you to go one way or the other. You made that
But
choice.
that's what Clark's saying. He wanted
They,
more.
yeah,
of a
they
definitive-
don't.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there's more interesting story in one playthrough or another, they don't really give you that up front at all, or they don't really say like, oh, hey, like this is like you should be a pacifist and it will yield different results, or you should be, you know, a homicide. Like they don't really. There's not enough commentary in the beginning to kind of point you down a direction or to let you
Mhm.
know that there's multiple options, and like that's my biggest gripe with that. Like personally, I already have the game uninstalled. I'm never going to fucking play it again. But like,
Yeah, I knew we were going to come back to that. And Steve, you gave a valiant effort to try to pitch another run to Clark, but I knew it wasn't going to happen.
yeah, no. Like I looked up the endings. I read about it. Like it doesn't. Nothing there grabs me as anything that's different. That's my biggest like issue with that is if you're gonna, you know, make a game that is pushing multiple playthroughs, make it something different and make it something like expanding. Not necessarily just, oh, you can do, like, for example, Mass Effect. The story is the same whether you play it, you know, the same story beats happen whether you play it, you know, Renegade, Paragon, or Neutral. There are certain things that are like completely changed though, like characters, things like that. That stuff is interesting to me. Keeping everybody alive for a run doesn't necessarily sound appealing to me at all for Undertale.
So it doesn't reward you enough to want to do it. Is that
Yeah,
what
no.
you're-
Well, because also I don't think the writing is like stellar by
Yeah.
any means.
Personally, I want to say I disagree, but I'll respectfully understand your opinion. I also don't think necessarily that, you know, a kickstarted indie title is really comparable to a BioWare RPG, which is considered one of the best trilogy science fiction RPGs out there, which is fine. I'm not putting Undertale on a pedestal to say that it's like the greatest RPG ever, but that should be considered a little bit, I think.
Oh yeah, compare. I'm just saying for comparison of multiple playthroughs and different play styles and story, where they're not different. It doesn't matter to like the time, like the development and stuff. Changes in writing are the difference there, and it comes down to a team versus one person. It still doesn't matter. It's still direction made, if that makes sense.
I think so. I got you.
Okay.
All right.
Any other story beats you want to hit on?
I had something I wanted to say, but we've been blending, you know, gameplay and story all throughout. So when it comes to the gameplay, we'll just have to try to keep that in mind. Like I was saying about the hotlands or the fire area, as I keep calling it, and me liking sort of the waterfall and the snow area first. I have to say that the back and forth between Papyrus and Sans, I found it really endearing. I really started to enjoy the game with those two characters, and Sans throughout. I liked everything that whenever he showed up, oh, there he is. You know, it made me it good
Comic
feeling.
relief.
Basically, sure. I did like the end there where he basically is your he judges you based on what you've done. And again, doing another run, he obviously would have something different. Is that where genocide you would fight him? I guess
Yeah.
none of us did that, but yeah.
hmm
Do you fight him instead of going to dinner with him?
No, that's later. This is later. This is just before the throne room. He's in silhouette.
Oh yeah, right.
When he stops you at the end,
Right.
he yells at you for killing his brother. It's like
Oh, I
he
didn't
was
see.
friendly.
I saved Papyrus. I actually, it was so his final thoughts. Like I read online that that's where he would judge you, kind of thing, on the characters you killed. But his was just a more ominous. Hey, what are you going to do at the end? He didn't really call me out for killing anybody specific.
Oh yeah, he called me. Well, I killed Papyrus, so he called me out for that. He didn't. He did not appreciate that. Yeah, it's a little mad.
Did anybody do the date with Papyrus?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I guess we
Nope.
that's where my quote came from. When you go and you look at his trash can. Yeah.
Right. Okay, one other ish thing, I guess, because the story's the only place for this. What did you guys think, or what's your interpretation? Maybe, Clark, this is what you mean about it being immature, but like it seemed like almost all the characters had like a teenage kind of I can't think of another word other than like teenage sexuality, where they seemed like everybody was kind of like horny, or everybody had a crush on somebody, or you want to go on a date with a skeleton. Like it just kind of seemed like maybe it reflects on Toby Fox, though I don't know anything about the guy other than he made this game. Is this coming from the mind of someone who's like 17, 18, or is it designed to appeal to that audience, or am I just crazy?
There is such a thing as too much internet influence in material, and I think this is it.
Too much internet influence. Okay.
Yeah, like it just they made obvious like internet style jokes that
meta.
it was just too like exactly. It was too meta, and it was just there was no commentary about it. If you're going to like go too meta, usually you want to like throw some commentary in there about
Right,
the
okay.
meta, but there was none of that. It was just like, oh, like we're going to act like stuff in your normal life to kind of like ingratiate you into this story. And it's like, well, I don't fucking care. Like you took a tried and true concept here, and you could have made something interesting with it or put your own spin on it, and it kind of like fell flat because, and I think it's directly because of all of the like internet humor nonsense. I don't know. It no part of the story to me like hit any sort of chord.
Yeah, I think we're picking that up.
No, I can see where you come from with that, with some of the writing. Like there's for one of them, like under your act, I forget which enemy it was against, but there's one that you can hug the enemy, and said you hug such and such, it becomes very uncomfortable, and it's kind of like that. See that it used for like the D&D joke. It's like I go to attack this orc, you roll a 1, you graze its back, and it becomes uncomfortable or some shit like that. So I can see where you're coming from with some of the writing. It was different, I guess is a way to put it. Not what I expected when going through that run.
Yeah, there's really no way to get around it saying that it's just weird, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think they were going for weird.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you, Steve, in some sense. And kind of the last thing you said there, right? It was very unexpected. And I think that's what pulled me into the story the most. Is like, once I was like 2 hours in, I couldn't really stop playing it because I was just like, where the fuck is this going?
Yeah, right.
Like, there's no way to be like, oh, like I see this coming up or whatever. Like, there's no fucking way. Like, if you say that you call like what's happening next, like out like maybe 30 minutes of gameplay ahead of time, bullshit. Like, it's just off the wall.
Unpredictable.
Yeah, completely unpredictable, and it just kept me pulled in.
Okay.
Harry, anything?
No, I was back and forth on this game. There was some story beats that I was like, wow, this game actually has something going for it. But then there were other times I'm just like, this is droning on a bit. And
Alphys.
Yeah, that frightening.
I do have one more comment, and it's like something that I picked up on right away.
Okay.
Sans and Papyrus are both font names.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was like, I was like, okay, so I know exactly kind of like what kind of humor they're going to go for here. And it didn't stop.
Okay, well, if that's it for story, let's just move right on to gameplay.
Gameplay.
So, not Earthbound, the video game.
Yeah. There you go. Let me just dive into this now. So before I forget, so dog residue. Okay.
Dog residue.
So you get,
okay, go ahead.
So you get the dog residue. You use it. It fills up your entire inventory with either all dog residue, or it also gives you a dog salad. And you can then you can just keep dropping all the other residues it produces, because they all do the same exact thing. And then eventually you have the dog salads, and then it's one gives you, well, it's kind of random. You can either get 2 health points back, 10, or it maxes out. Like, I think one of the texts is like, oh, this tastes like literal garbage. Gain all your HP back. Something. So then you never actually have to buy health items, but you just don't always know how much health you're actually going to be getting back out of it. Usually it fills it up, but like if you're in a critical point, you go to use it and you see you only get 2, you're like, oh, son of a bitch.
Figures.
Yeah. So there you go. That is the power of dog residue.
Okay, I put the dog residue in my box and ended up not using it. I ended up buying nice creams and hot dogs and the cat dog, or the cat dog, the uh,
Hot cat.
hot cat. Thank you. And the burgers at the end, and then I spent the money and got the one.
Super glam burger, whatever, for like 600 gold.
No, not that one. The one just below it. It was it raised your attack and gave you 40 hit points. That was
I filled up my inventory for the last Metaton fight, whatever was right before
Yeah.
Asgore, because I splurged all my money because I couldn't get through that fight.
Yep.
That and you gain a lot of money at the end of the game,
Yeah.
just like a shit ton. But no, speaking on the end there, I couldn't find a box at the end of the game. I ended up throwing away a lot of my equipment to make space for the food items.
They're in
Oh
your cell
no.
phone. They're in your cell phone, aren't they?
Yeah.
What?
At a certain point,
Yeah.
if you open up your cell phone, you have Dimensional Box 1 and Dimensional Box 2. You actually get 2 boxes.
How the fuck was I supposed to know that?
Open your cell phone.
Didn't open my cell phone once.
Oh.
There was a dialogue box where they said somebody told me that from here on the boxes will be in your cell phone for use. It might have been Alphys, I don't know,
Ugh,
but yeah, you get 2 boxes and you can just put they're right in your phone where you would select someone to call. You can call the box basically.
And then you can move items there.
Right.
okay.
Surprise!
Surprise! Now you got to do a pacifist run.
Okay, another little option that I was trying to hold on to the snowman piece until the very end of the game to see if that would be some kind of achievement, but I
Oh.
ended up having to consume him during the Asgore fight. Is
Oh no.
What? No,
I said, oh no.
Did I make another mistake there?
No,
Oh no, I'm just saying, poor Snowman. He never made it to the end.
It's funny you did that though. I did read that if you have the butterscotch pie that you get very very early on, that will reduce Asgore's like attack and defense. So if you carry that piece of pie from the beginning of the game all the way to the final boss, then you can use it on him.
Yeah, or if you consume, because I remember after going through, I was reading like for the Muffet, the spider fight.
Yeah.
If because like in the very beginning, you could buy like the spider muffins or something
right,
else.
Right.
Yeah, if you consume that in front of her, like during the battle, like in the beginning, then she's like, "Oh, well, you're someone who actually spends gold," and then she just doesn't fight you. That is not what I did.
Yeah.
But found out afterwards. I'm like, huh. There was a few of them. I forget what other ones, but if you ate certain stuff in front of enemies, then they're just like, oh, all right, well, never mind, and then end of battle.
And there's obviously no way of knowing that ahead of time unless you
Oh, hell no.
died or it's your second playthrough. There's no way you
Right.
I
No.
felt that there was some kind of gimmick to every fight in this game because I picked up on a few. Like
A lot of them did.
yeah, like the dog fights where as long as you didn't move, they couldn't find you.
Mhm.
Kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were the ones that taught you about the blue attack for the
Yeah.
rest of the game, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, there was just a lot of that, and I don't think you'd pick up on all of them on a single playthrough with this game. It would just be too difficult. This is especially how random this game is. It's kind of hard to predict that kind of shit.
I liked a lot of those battle moves, especially like the blue attacks. Like I wrote that one down specifically. I thought that was cool, like blue versus orange. And then like in the Asgore fight, like you would see his eyes flash the colors, so you knew what the sequence was, like orange, orange, blue, or just all blues or whatever. So you knew how to prepare yourself for the next like attack.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty sweet.
I'll be honest, that fight was tough. Because it
Yeah.
was so like I would adjust my play style to kind of improve as the game was going on to kind of pick up some of these things, but that was just throwing so much shit at me too quickly. All I could do was hit when I could and just pile in the health items.
Yep.
I think we all did that.
Yeah.
And that sort of brings home the point of with the gameplay, it's sort of nice that they gave you this little mini game to give you a chance to not get hit, but in reality, it's not that different from just taking a hit from a normal enemy in any other RPG.
Except you could get hit multiple times in this one.
You could get hit multiple times. Yes, that's true. Talking about like a fixed number, like you take 25
Oh,
damage.
right.
You know what I mean? Like you take 25 damage from, I don't know, Kefka, and in one fight. And with this, it's like, okay, you got a chance to maybe take 10 or maybe take none if you're good enough. But in general, for an RPG, I didn't really enjoy these little mini games that just stressed me out, or playing Frogger with the spider chick. We've already said her name.
Muffet.
Muffet, thank you. Like playing Frogger with her, trying to avoid things, and then, oh, now it's vertical and do this and do that. Like I really didn't enjoy that. I enjoyed more of just the game as a whole, but not the battles, not the combat. Does anybody feel differently? The same?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the exact opposite.
Yeah. Pretty much Joe said the exact words. Like, I actually really liked, like, all, because I forget who said it earlier, but it's like each one is like its own mini game.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of that. I'm fine. So it's like getting to do, little different stuff. And for each enemy, a lot of them are, some of them have like the same concept, but it's a little different. And I really like that personally.
Yeah, and some are really easy. I mean, and they're really easy to avoid, that kind of thing. But just in general, for me, it's not my favorite style of RPG combat, I guess you could say. They're just, some of the boss battles really just were nerve-wracking in a way that I didn't enjoy and just stressed me out, having all these different things trying to avoid them. And I don't like playing
see-
Frogger, so
See, I actually think that the like battle system and like the mini games are probably the best part of the game.
okay.
I think that is like where all of the different, like
That's
the
what it brings to the
differences that
table.
actually set this apart from other things
Mm-hmm.
show up. And it's that was the refreshing part of the game for me, is like, I've personally never played a game or heard of a game that was exactly like that, where there's like the mini game where you're kind of doing like a bullet hell in the middle of it, and then you're going back to like a menued RPG type system. I thought that was really like cool.
Yeah, and I get that, but for me personally, I didn't enjoy it.
This wasn't your jam.
I guess not. What about attacking? What did you guys think of the timed, like, and based on a different weapon that you have equipped, it does different things?
Yeah, I like that too. I used the glove most of the game.
Is that the one that has the 3 attacks?
The tough glove.
Yep, the tough glove. I used that pretty much most of the game. I liked that, how like you had to time the, or like spam the button or whatever after the attack. But I found that like the actual like aiming of the attack when the slider came across the screen
Yeah.
didn't have much effect on the actual damage. Like if you got anywhere even remotely close, your damage was only going to change by like if you were doing 55 dead on, like you might do like 49 or 50 if you were like a quarter of the bar off. Like it didn't like have that much of an impact.
Yeah, it did seem like if you got like a perfect, you weren't rewarded for your
No.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool that each of like the weapons kind of had their own little thing to it, and then just kind of like I did like the what you call it, like the burnt pan, I think was the one that I ended with. And I think you got to hit someone like 4 times with that, but it had to be in a pattern like dun dun dun. Like it wasn't just one, the same thing every time.
Oh, I didn't get that one. I forget what my last one was, just a single hit for like 150, 170, something like that.
See, I finished with the ballerina shoes.
What?
Oh.
Oh, the ballet shoes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was the empty gun. That was the last one that I used.
Just pistol whipping people?
No, it was like a 4-shot, and the more that you hit, the higher damage it was.
Oh, nice.
Oh, interesting.
That would have helped with Asgore, I think. Harry, what's your take on the gameplay?
It was okay. Some of the battles, like the mini games, like I liked when your heart turned over into like a
shooting gun.
Yeah, like a Space Invaders type mini game. Some of it was frustrating, and I think some of the battles were relentless. Like I just think some of them were just throwing too much shit at you at once, and it
Sort of
became
like Flowey,
yeah, that was
the final boss.
That one sucked.
that was
So-
too much.
I have a few questions about Flowey now that we're in gameplay. Harry, I know you played on PlayStation. Did anybody else play on a console?
No.
No, I mean I used my PS4 controller, but I used it on a PC.
Okay, so at the end of the game, then, when Flowey comes out on PC, it basically crashes your game back to desktop. How does that happen on PlayStation?
Oh, okay. Title screen? Guessing?
No, it would like how did that? So there's a couple things we should probably do. Like so what they did is it would just bring up a message bar loading save or something like that, and then it would.
Oh, that's lame.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's majority of what would happen. It would be like loading save repeatedly. It did like it looked like it froze, the screen froze, and it would repeat. You know, you ever have a game freeze and it just keeps clicking the same audio clip?
Yes.
It did a lot of that. A lot of static screens.
Oh, sounds like they got more than we did, Joe.
I mean, I don't know. It depends. Like, it crashed, quote unquote, like crashed. You know, closed the game or whatever, like 3 or 4 times.
Right.
On PC. So I don't know if he's referencing those 3 or 4 times or something different.
Well, I don't think he actually had it crash. I don't think it was a real crash.
No,
well, right.
It's more like messages where he's creating his own save file. He deleted my save file, and then he just kept loading up his own.
Well, yeah, we got that too.
I didn't get any messaging about it. I saw the save file was different though. Like for me, like the game crashed. You know, I'm gonna say it crashed, right? I was fighting Asgore. Flowey came in. The game just wiped out, right?
Yeah.
And then I had to reload it through Steam. And when I loaded it and went to load my save file, it said Flowey and like level 9999 and then that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't tell me that's like he was making the save, but it was very like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, exactly. That's like when I said on the Discord, it's like, oh, I beat it, and then because it just shut down, I'm like, oh, I guess that was it, and it just closes the game, and then I opened it back up again, and it started into the next battle. I'm like, oh, not quite done.
There's
Whoops.
a similar type of moment, which I think is probably going to be different from PC, but there's the one Metaton fight, and he's like, oh, I want you to enter your own answer, and he brings up the PS4 chat window, and I had to type it in. I don't know how they did that one.
Yeah, you had to type.
We just type
Yeah.
in the legs or whatever, and
Yeah, everything except the ZX. I think those were the only two that you couldn't use because they're like actual controls on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, I thought those were pretty interesting gameplay moments too. Like when the game crashed, like my heart skipped for a second there, right? And I was like, fucking hell. Because, like, you just get done the Asgore fight, and I was like, finally beat him after, like, you know, going at it for, like, 30 minutes. And then I was like, man, I better not load back up and have to fucking go through that shit again. Like,
I know.
Yeah, speaking on that a bit, like with how crazy the game gets at the end, I didn't know when it was safe to turn off the PS4 and call it.
You were like, okay, it's red, everything's good. Like, am I done?
Like, I didn't want to come to recording today and be like, oh man, Asgore fight was amazing. And you'd be like, wait, what? Like, wait, did you finish the game, Harry? So I like
Harry, there are 6 phases. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and I did this at like 3 a.m. last night. I was just like, I started at like 11, and I was like, oh, I got like an hour left of this game, and it just went and went and went, and I was like, I gotta go to bed. Like, I thought there was just an hour left of this game. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It was kind of hard to say, hey, I finished the game, and actually know you finished the game.
Accurate.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one. That's accurate.
I thought that was like a really unique gameplay moment, though. Like, I hadn't seen that in a game before. Like,
getting booted intentionally?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, it's kind of a new concept to, like, the game automatically saves on its own. It kicks you out, and then when you load back up, it appears as if the game is, like, you know, not running properly and whatnot. And it's interesting, right? Because even when you load the Flowey file, it's just like a dark room with no paths, and you still have to walk around and figure out what the fuck you're doing. And you're like, did something actually happen here?
Is that an
Super
evolution?
Hot does some stuff like that too.
Oh,
where
yeah.
like it like messes with your save file and like kicks you from the game, and it's pretty cool.
What game was that?
I like stuff like that. Super hot.
Oh, okay.
Also, Eternal Darkness on the
Okay, yep,
GameCube
okay.
did a lot of like trickery stuff like that. Made it look
Corrupted
like you
memory
muted
card.
your chant. What?
Corrupted memory card.
Yep, corrupted memory card. Like changed your volume. Like did stuff like that. It was really cool.
I have another odd thing that happened in the game that I was curious about. Did you
Okay.
guys end up doing the snail race?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it me, or is there just no way to win that?
No, there is a way to win because I got curious and looked it up, but I wasn't able to win it, and I didn't want to take the time to try to figure it out because apparently the prizes aren't really worth it either.
All right, so the way that you do the snail race is press the button 7 times when there's not an exclamation point over the snail's head, and you need to come in second right after the person comes in first. And it does this thing where it's like, oh, it thinks the snail won. I don't want to hurt its feelings. Here's 30 gold.
That's the only way you can actually make money at the game, because if you
Correct.
if you win the race, I think you get 9 gold, so you're still losing one. You're losing 1 gold.
Yeah, and it says, oh, well, I need to make a profit.
And then I'm sure what happened through my first playthrough, is you try to encourage the snail so much in the beginning that it just bursts into flames.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what happened to me the first time. I was like, wow.
I'm like, go, 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 go. What is happening? Oh, it's like, and then I think the ghost says something like, it appears your snail has caught fire or something like that.
All right, that's it for gameplay. Let's move into graphics.
Graphics.
I mean, I'll kick off a thought for graphics.
Sure, go right ahead.
I did not like the sprite for the character. Like the character that you're playing as. I thought he looked like a douchebag. Like they could have done some better work.
Is it a he?
No, it's a she.
No, well, it's gender neutral.
Is it?
Actually,
that
they
way.
never reference he or she.
I could see that.
It's just open to
tomboyish.
interpretation.
You could see that and chuckles to himself. I could see that. I heard you, Harry. I heard you. I got to agree. I started to get tired of the sprite pretty quick, and I was like, "This reminds me of like Newgrounds, like somebody made a Flash game, and this is their protagonist." You guys
But I
play
mean, like,
Newgrounds games at
A
all?
lot of the sprite work was good on a lot of like the NPC characters. Like even like Papyrus and Sans, they were cool looking on the world map. It just
Even some of the people in
Yeah.
the core were pretty cool looking.
yeah. I don't know. They just should have spruced up the sprite that you're going to see the most in the game. You know? I don't know. He just had that punchable face that just. I wouldn't mind reaching in there and just punching my own character.
Come here, child. I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Yeah. Fucking
Harry,
what-
child, punching bows.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Wild.
aside from Undyne, I can't think of any sprites in this that I thought were just like, oh my god, like blown away by.
What? Not Flowey at the end there? Didn't blow you away? That Photoshop hack job?
That was
didn't
just
do it?
ridiculous.
No.
Yeah, that was absurd.
I don't even know what I'm looking at.
I think that probably would have been better left out and just like kept with the regular theme of the game.
Regular sprite work?
Yeah. I was actually kind of impressed with this game and how much they actually packed in. Like sometimes I forget about games and their size and things like that. But like when you download this game, it's like 138 megabytes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's small.
Yeah. And like it's something you don't really think about. And I get that it's very like, you know, the main character is like 20 pixels tall. You know what I mean? But it's still like something like you don't really think about a lot. And it's just like, damn, this whole game, you know, 6+ hours of content, you know, for 138 megabytes is kind of cool. And I think that has a lot to do with the graphics, but I still think like they were, the main character's sprite was not great, but I think it was still like fitting for the rest of the game. Like it all felt like it went together fairly well.
He looked more of like a monster than some of the fucking monsters.
Yeah.
Man, Harry.
I mean, the dogs.
Troll the protagonist.
I agree. I agree, though. Like they did not do a good job with the main character.
It's got to be intentional. It's got to
Fuck
be
that sprite. Fuck it.
intentional.
Like, because you look
Jesus.
at Sans is the same height. Sans has tons of detail on his little like sprite character,
Yeah.
and it looked good. The like weird androgynous sprite that is our main character
It's
sucked.
just a placeholder.
Yeah, that somehow made it into the final release of the game.
Yeah.
Follow this color blob. This is you now.
Look, you can hide behind a fucking lamp.
Forgot about that.
Yes.
Conveniently
Because
shaped
your head
lamp.
and body are the same shape as a fucking lamp.
No, I did like some of the there was a lot more detail that went into the enemies and whatnot. So there were some that I did like.
They were obviously trying to, for the most part, stick to what it seems like the protagonist is like a Super Nintendo-ish character, but then the enemies in their color palette, it's almost like NES, unless you guys feel, or something else like a ZX Spectrum or something. Like the fact that they don't have any color, it just makes me think of an older style game is what they were going for. But then at the end, Flowey just has, you can't place that. I don't know what that is. It's definitely not something that the Super Nintendo or Nintendo could do. But,
No, that's just that's a mess.
but at the same time, like when I think of like indie, or not even necessarily indie, but I think of like really awesome retro sprite work, I think of like Shovel Knight as sort of my knee-jerk standard. Like that's how you do retro pixel art. And for this, it doesn't get there. So yeah, the protagonist sucks, but I don't think anything is amazing in terms of the sprite work.
It's funny that you mentioned Shovel Knight, because that was my go-to comparison for this entire game. Now, when it comes to the environments, like Shovel Knight purposefully created all their environments that you would travel through, and no, they weren't that big, especially that town in Shovel Knight. But there was a lot of unnecessary corridors in this game, and it wasn't like it didn't have any story progression whatsoever. It was just, hey, we're gonna make you walk down this corridor
Filler
for a minute.
I think some of it was almost to add in random battles to make you make additional decisions on what you were doing with your game.
They were very bland though. Like some of them I get with I don't know, walking through the caves or some of the puzzle areas, but then there was some that were just like completely blank and devoid of any background detail whatsoever. And I was just like, what's the purpose of this? Like, we could have done something here. I don't know, especially in that fucking last area, that gray city. It's just like how many turns in elevators and all this other fucking bullshit do I have to go through?
God. I got so fucking lost because I had
That's what I'm saying.
The first time I fought Asgore, I lost, and I had when I reloaded my save, I only had one health potion or whatever the fuck, like health item.
Oh, so you backtracked.
So I had to backtrack, and I had to backtrack all the way out to the beginning of the town where like the elevator is broken and like that crazy cat person is like selling you items. And then when I went
in the alleyway,
no, it's like where the Metaton fountain is and that hotel that was like converted.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
So I had to backtrack all the way out there, which was like a fucking 10-minute walk. And then when I went back in, everything looked so much the same that I ended up going in this fucking loop of entering and exiting certain areas for like fucking 20 minutes before I finally figured my way out, like back in to fight Asgore. I was so pissed.
Yeesh.
Like, I even at one point loaded my save file again at Asgore and tried to like pay attention more carefully in my path out. Because I was just like, I'm never going to get back. Let me just load the save up again and fucking pay attention this time.
That's such a pain.
It's not graphics, but I had something similar between the last medicine fight where I needed more items, more healing items. So I backtracked and actually came across the boatman who took you to another area. And I went back to the turtle vendor and I bought like his best health stuff. and then went back and fought. I don't know if you guys encountered him or not.
I did that once, and that's when I noticed that the health items at the end of the game healed for the same HP, what were like way more expensive.
Oh, right. The burgers and stuff.
Yeah. I was like, wait, it's still 14 HP, but it's 60 gold instead of 12? What the fuck?
Yeah, by the end of the game, though, like the recover 14 HP items, I knew weren't going to cut it for me, especially
Yeah.
with how bad I was with those mini games at the end. I was taking like 30 to 40 damage in a fucking
Oof.
it was bad.
Damn.
It was real bad.
Yeah, that's rough there, man.
I don't know.
The sprites are simplistic. The enemies are devoid of color. Some of them are cool, different, interesting, weird, but not really winning any awards for best sprite work. Agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I'll agree to that.
I can kind of agree on that.
I think I forgot to mention this in story, but I think one of my favorite NPCs was the octopus in shallow water. I was like, hey guys, I'm in a band. You like that, right? I don't play any instruments though.
All right, you're leaving. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'll see you.
Mentally challenged squid.
Like,
I did like the ghost, Napstablook or Napstablook.
Napstablook. I think you're right on that.
Who had no self-esteem. You talking that one?
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes I just like to lie on the floor.
Oh,
Would
yeah,
you wanna
yeah,
work with me?
exactly. I did that for a while too. I was like, does something happen after a certain amount of time? I think I did
40
for
minutes later.
at least 5 minutes. No, at least 5 minutes. And I was like, oh, nothing's happening. Okay.
Oh my god.
The one burger vendor at the end, he kind of reminded me of. It's not like Ren and Stimpy, but it almost seemed like it was influenced by Ren and Stimpy. Do you guys know what I mean? Like when you leave, his face like changes.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
the one
see-
I had to run back to, Burger Pants.
Burger
Yeah.
Pants.
I thought that was a play on just retail in general, how they hate the customer, but they got to be super over the top nice anyway.
You might be right, Harry.
I could see that one. Oh my god. It's like, have a great day. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Should have named the character Karen. Karen would have been perfect for that scene.
Oh God. All right, there's nothing else for graphics. Let's move right into music.
Music.
I actually really like the music in this game.
Yep.
This was there weren't too many areas that I can really put my finger on being like, I mean, I could take it or leave it. Like I forget how the tune exactly went. I know it stood out when you were going through like the end of the waterfall part where you had to like hit the mushrooms to get the light or do the candles to follow the path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I really liked the soundtrack that was playing behind that one. I mean the whole thing, like the Asgore battle music, that was really good too. And just all around, I thoroughly enjoyed the music in this game.
Yeah, I got to say, I think that's almost the high point for me personally was the music, and I don't have a whole lot. Like I don't have track names, and I know that Toby Fox did this. So not only can he make a quirky, weird, essentially viral RPG, but he can create music for it. So I look forward to more of that in the future. But it was last night actually. I went to bed and I had the intro stuck in my head where it tells you the story, like when you first boot the game and it gives you the story. I had that stuck in my head, and it stayed with me. So I think that I'm going to look up all those Smooth McGroove videos and his renditions that I was talking about earlier. Now that I've completed the game, I want to see if any of them really trigger anything, if I feel anything when I listen to it. But yeah, highest marks for the music. I enjoyed it.
I think that's the standout from this entire game is the music. I think is just top notch. Like I would definitely like jam out to the soundtrack of this game before I thought about playing it again. Megalovania just sticks out as like one of the best tracks on here, and you can only get it through fighting Sans in the genocide run, but
right.
The song is just absolutely incredible.
All right, I'll be that fucking guy here. I didn't think it was
Be that
amazing.
fucking guy.
You
guys
cut him
all
off. What did you say?
I said I'll be that guy. I don't think it was anything to write home about. I think it was serviceable, and I think it was appropriate for this game. But I I don't think it was that amazing, but
Interesting.
that's fine. I'll just be that guy for this episode.
There you go. Now, one thing that started getting pretty old was like when they spoke, it was just like
Oh,
the same tone over and over again. It's like, what the fuck?
Wait, I didn't get it. Can you do that again, real quick? Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, that happened. I remember.
Yeah, Metaton.
so on that same vein, since I didn't cover it in graphics, the fucking dialogue where the text is like fucking bouncing all over the place while that's happening at the same time. It's like blah, and then the text is bouncing, like just drove me fucking nuts. And it was one of those things where it happened immediately in the beginning of the game, and I was like, this better not be happening the whole time. Swear to God.
It didn't bother me.
Where the text was just jumping all over the fucking place?
No, well,
Or the
not
sound?
necessarily that. Just the sound of the text. I mean, I guess it got a little old, but it was just kind of like, yeah, this is how this works in this kind of game.
Yeah, I don't know. That's one of those things that's driven me nuts since like the beginning of my like gaming career. It's just one of the, I just can't stand it. Like the new Animal Crossing is the same way. Like Amanda plays the crap out of it, and like I hear it in the background, and it just drives me nuts.
And like it at the very beginning, it didn't bother me, but as it was just like over and over and over again, I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm skipping through as much text at least like as it pops up, and then you hit the one button and it just fills the text box and they stop talking. I'm like, that was pretty much my go-to for the rest of the game.
Same. Glad I'm not alone on that one.
Yeah.
Harry, Clark, anything about the text?
I think the voice acting was pretty solid in this game.
Oh, do you? Do you?
That was great. That's fantastic.
No, see, they only it was really easy for them to record it because they had to make one sound, and then they just repeat that over and over and over again until it makes your fucking ears bleed.
Okay.
I think what's that girl you like with the voice acting, Ralph? I always forget her name.
I don't know.
Ashley Birch.
Yeah. This was some of her best work.
Okay.
Yeah, I was surprised to see her in the credits. I'm like, I thought that was her.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Absolutely hilarious.
That would have been funny if there was just a credit for some ridiculously famous celebrity that just made one sound and that was it. Like,
Jay Travolta.
what the fuck was it? It was like George Clooney when he did when he was the voice of the dog on South Park. It was George Clooney, and that was it. It's like, what the fuck?
A cameo.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it for music. High praise from everybody except Harry. Let's move
That
into
guy.
that guy. Let's move into our final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Steve, why don't you go first?
I will go first. Thank you. And I really enjoyed playing the game. I know everybody has their certain feelings about it, but I enjoyed it enough to do another run and then contemplated doing a third. Just didn't get that far into it. I didn't get around to it even. But no, I was very pleased with just the whole experience of it, and then going through and getting a little bit of a different experience out of a replay too. So I really appreciated that about the game. So yeah, it's a positive final thought from me.
Cool. Okay. Joe.
Yeah, like I said in kind of my initial impressions, this was on my ignored list, and I kind of wish that I didn't ignore it so long ago. I really enjoyed playing it. Probably something I won't play again, but definitely glad that I experienced it. You know, one of the reasons that I was, wanting to join the podcast with you guys, kind of pull me out of my wheelhouse of standard games and get into things like this.
Got it.
I guess
Harry-
I can go.
I was gonna. Okay, Harry, go for it.
Oh no! If you wanna,
No, you were next.
You're the host. Yeah.
It's okay. Harry,
All right, I'll go ahead. No.
No, seriously. Harry, I was gonna say, go for it.
So, Liz, I do want to 100% support Kickstarter projects like this because I think it gets away from some of that copy and paste type of gaming out there and like the high budget projects. But I could 100% see how a lot of people would get behind this game. I just don't think this was a project for me. 100%. There was some things I found
Mm.
pretty funny with the game, but overall, not my type of game here.
Not your cup of tea.
Clark, if you don't mind, can I follow after Harry?
Sure.
Okay, just to go off what you're saying, Harry, and I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but I have to agree with you. For the most part, other than maybe, the music and a couple laughs, I really wanted to like this more than I did. I wanted to be, sort of blown away and be like, this is the best indie I've ever played, blah blah blah, and just gush all over it, but I really don't think I can. I almost feel like for me personally, it's like there's something's not there. I don't know if that's a lack in the story or I didn't enjoy the gameplay as much as I thought I would. But I think it's a good game. I think it's a great title. I'm glad that everybody came together and was able to make it. And I think that Toby Fox's career is just starting. But personally, it didn't resonate with me the way I wanted it to. Clark.
So I think that games like this should exist, and like I'm all for indie developers making stuff, but kind of like Harry said, this is not the game for me. I just want to see more innovation from an indie game, more so than what this was. I don't think I like the idea. I just don't think the execution was all there. The music is fantastic, and the battle system I would like to see in a game that's not this. But the just the story is, not to be too reductive, but it's very simple, and I don't think it really is. It didn't go through any sort of maturing phase. He could have used an editor and someone to kind of give him maybe a little more direction with the story. That's all I have to say about it.
Okay, then let's move into the score.
The score.
Steve, give me your score for Undertale.
I'm going to be giving Undertale an A for adventure.
Did we adapt your scoring system?
Did you say adapt because it starts with an A?
No.
Because if you did,
No.
oh,
No, that
well,
was
you
just
should have.
lucky. That was just lucky.
Oh, I'm sorry. One other thing I forgot to mention. So when I was reading online, they said like, "Oh, get ready for the big twist." And was the big twist the acronyms? Was that the big twist where you're trying to earn love, but it stands for level of violence? Or was it like,
Probably.
I don't know. Like I kept reading all these forums, like, "Oh, get ready for the big twist." I'm like, does that boil down to an acronym? Is that it?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the big twist.
Yep.
Okay.
Did you get it?
Do you get it?
Do you
Do you
get it?
get it? Do you get what we're trying to say? Do you get it?
It's amazing.
Joe.
Oh, I just assumed Harry was going to go ahead and give us a score while I was there.
Oh yeah, 4.0. Boom.
Jesus. 4.0, and that's out of 5, right?
I had a 10.
Yeah, I know. Joe.
All right. Like I kind of mentioned, I really enjoyed playing the game. I won't go back and play it again. There are things of the game that I will probably not forget, like the music and the battle system and things of that nature.
Uh-huh.
I probably will go check out Toby Fox's next game, Deltarune. I'll probably check that out.
Uh-huh.
But for this game, I'm going to give it a 77%.
77.
Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty.
I will save Clark for last. I'm gonna have to give it a shrug, and I do so begrudgingly. I really wanted to give it a gush, but wouldn't be totally honest. So a shrug from me from Undertale. From me for Undertale. Hit it, Clark.
I think this game is a rental.
Are you driving? It sounds like you're driving.
Got the top down.
No.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just getting some wind in the back, like you had your fucking
No.
side window open. You're just like cruising down the highway.
All right. I would give this game a rent or a void, to be completely honest. Just because you can't actually rent this game probably anywhere. I would avoid it and just get the soundtrack and be good. Read about it. Overhyped.
It's only overhyped if you actually look at those reviews. Boom.
Yeah, I didn't look at any reviews, just word of mouth, I guess.
Hit it with your mouth.
Yes, Steve, you showed great restraint. I don't think there were any jokes of the penile nature, come to think of it.
Nope.
Whoa!
No dick jokes today.
My goodness, that's got to be a record.
It just might be. It just might be.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. This was our review of Undertale. Is it a hidden
Thank you,
gem
guys.
or an overhyped piece of trash? Not quite. That's
It's
a
the
little
latter.
harsh. That's a little harsh. It's not trash.
It's the latter.
It's not. Oh.
No, it's the elevator. Come on.
All right. Well, tune in next time for Legend of Dragoon.
All right. Love you guys.
Another overhyped. No, I'm kidding.
Another overhyped piece of trash.
Trash.
Stay lovely.
Oh God, stay sexy.
Yeah.
Game over. Game over. Game over. Game over. Game over.
Thanks for listening to Super Fun Game Review Podcast Go. Stay up to date on our Facebook at facebook.com/superfunpodcast.